Now we move back into these health claims because this application was in relation to an extended supervision order. 48. The last review available in the evidence tendered where the defendant was actually interviewed and assessed was 22 June 2021 by a CMO, Dr. Andrew White, who noted, quote, "Today he represents as somewhat dishevelled, but was woken from sleep to see me. He was pleasant and polite and cooperated with the interview. He said that he no longer believes the things about the Australian government or other conspiracies that he previously did. He admits to becoming completely preoccupied with these beliefs and that they had taken over his life and damaged his relationships. He attributes his change in mental state to the shock of incarceration and his wife ending their relationship, and does not think that the medication has helped in any way. Medication makes him dumbed down and tired, but he feels better on his current regime than he did when he was on More RX. Accepts his diagnosis and was able to label it as delusional disorder. Accepts that he was completely overrun by his conspiracy beliefs and accepts the label of delusional. Accepts. Are you brainwashed now? No? We'll keep going then. Are you brainwashed now? Yes, I am. I accept it all. I'm delusional. You don't need to keep programming me and drugging me anymore. I've had enough of the drugs. Denied any ongoing interest in pursuing his conspiracy theories, his plans on release are to go back to work and attempt to reconcile with his wife. Said that family is the most important thing and he wants to do the right thing by his family. Will continue to take RX because he knows he has to, and police and PMP will require him to take it. Also admitted to smoking THC prior to custody and said he won't do that anymore because he doesn't want to go back to it, and he is also aware of parole conditions. Plans to go back to live with his ex and kids, boys in their 20s. Implied delusional order seems most likely diagnosis, probably on a background of narcissistic, paranoid PD and THC use. What quackery. These are not doctors. These are gamblers with your emotions, thoughts, and beliefs. These are reprogrammers of your doctrines so that you fit into a doctrine that is an implied position at which you have no choice in believing otherwise. 47. In January 2021, a forensic treatment plan was formalised which included monthly meetings with his psychiatric case manager in the correctional centre, a 6-weekly meeting with his treating psychiatrist, a requirement to accept treatment and medication as prescribed, and to provide regular urine drug screening samples and to comply with necessary blood tests to provide for metabolic and clozapine level monitoring. In a treatment plan, these doctors decided that they would increase his drug intake, and they formalized a plan to go about reprogramming his belief system. It reminds me of Stanley Kubrick and The Clockwork Orange with the grabbers pulling the eyelids open while they flash a whole bunch of images into someone's head. This is what you must believe. And to think this stuff is happening in New South Wales, of all places. 46. The assessment report concluded that overall, the defendant had shown improvement in his mental state, but was still insightless and only reluctantly accepting his medication, and concluded that he was suffering from a, quote, delusional disorder, perhaps late onset schizophrenia, but possibly with an organic disorder, being a mental illness characterized by persecutory, grandiose and bizarre delusional beliefs, close quote. It is also noted that he had shown significant improvement in his mental state, but there was risk of relapse, and so the FCTO was requested to be put in place before release into the community. The report also concluded that he will, quote, continue to benefit from this from his antipsychotic medication and further investigation of his medical condition, as well as ongoing psychoeducation, close quote. Now, if that doesn't remind you of Stanley Kubrick and a forcing of a doctrine into you through the use of drugs and follow-up reports and police checks on you at home and dragging you off to hospital if you refuse, forcing this with psychoeducation. This is some serious and fucked up stuff. That fair enough, he's inside a jail for a reason, and no one explained that reason to him in the proper, wherein he still had a right to a belief, at which you decided, well, we'll drug him, that will make it easier, we'll use these excuses for that drugging him to make it easier for us to look after him while he's in jail. That's what I'm seeing. The forcing upon him that he must accept a change in doctrine before being released as well. It's like a spider that won't let you out of its clutches. It's like an octopus that's got a hold of you, and every time you get one tentacle off, another tentacle slaps itself upon you. 45. In an assessment by treating psychiatrists at Long Bay Hospital, Corrections Facility Hospital, in January 2021, prepared for a further mental health review team hearing. The treating team noted that it had received registered posts from one of the defendant's, quote, followers, telling them that they must release the defendant as he is being held illegally, and pleading his case to the Commonwealth Minister of Health, Greg Hunt, and that the defendant had said that he had been instructed on his views by, quote, Stephen, the right and truthful king, end quote. The fact that he has received mail from someone else that backs up what he's saying tends to detract from the fact that he's having any sort of delusion in the first place. If multiple people can see and believe in something that exists, then how is it a delusion? And we understand this when we get to the bottom of the document, that all of these claims are deemed to be speculative and denied. But here we have a justice putting some very specific information on the record in both quoted and unquoted form. nobody was instructed. People were shown evidences that led to questions that remain unanswered. And this has always been the core problem, in that now, on a court record of a Supreme Court, we have a clarification that certain things are real and not delusional, which makes things even more clear in respect to claims that have been spoken about.